none of this matters.
Speaking of ruggers, let's move on to one of the next major topics, because Azuki have announced a new initiative, this PBT physical back token, where they're doing something that no one has ever done in Ethereum. No one's ever thought of this before. It's brand new, which is where they're going to have physical items you can link to the blockchain. And when someone trades the physical item to someone else, I can rescan it and I can track the provenance of something physical. And for this, they're going to launch, I think it's 8 24K skateboards, $100,000 skateboards.
Yeah,
seven?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was 8, I was going to be hyped, but
No.
but yeah. So they've actually opened up a proposal, an EIP to the Ethereum Foundation to say, hey, here's a way that we could start tracking physical goods and trade them between other people. And they've got a bean chip, which is, oh my God, what blockchain enabled. It's NFC, and they've renamed NFC. This is pretty interesting because we talk a lot about physical products. Obviously, we got someone from Izu here, so they know all about it here, right? But we so far right now, not many of us actually have physical goods that actually we are tracking on the blockchain.
Can we just say, like, anytime anyone ever says it's the first ever, they are lying to you?
What was so weird about their announcement, they made it sound like it was this brand new thing that hasn't been done ever, and it's been around.
Well, wait. Well, you got a Clone X, right?
Yeah.
And they have some blockchain-enabled clothing or hoodies, right?
Yeah.
Where are they?
They're coming.
Exactly. They're coming. Where are they? It's always, yeah.
They're in the mail.
You know, the thing with Azuki and what they announced, and I think we got to give credit where credit is due, because first off, they marketed that very, very well. And technically, with what they're doing with the PBT, that is a first, because they are doing it completely on chain. They are backing physical items completely on chain. And then number 3, obviously launching the skateboard. It's going to be the world's most expensive kickflip, but it is going to be sick.
A couple things here. I've read the EAP, and I've also looked over the implementation of the embedded C code that they provided. So there are a couple of things here that they're not really being entirely transparent to the public about. And it is really telling that there are only, 7 devices that they're making. What they're afraid of is they're putting a lot of strain, a lot of security on this physical piece of hardware that doesn't exist. They are talking about an exotic piece of silica that has to hold a secret and can prevent someone else from who has physical access to the chip from dumping it and being able to access those secrets. And they say this. Part of that is also part of their business plan. They don't want you to just take an off-the-shelf NFC chip and be able to use their tech. So if you adopt their EAP, they then want to sell you this hardware, which, my friends, does not exist. These 8 chips or 7 chips or whatever, they are insecure. And the reason why there's so few of them is they don't want a hacker to then reveal that they haven't, in fact, solved the problem. They still want to raise more capital in order to solve this issue. Now, in the long term, this could work out. I'm not entirely fudding these guys. It is common for tech companies to overpromise and underdeliver, right? There is vaporware, right? Tesla is notorious for this. So can they pull out a Tesla here? Can they actually do that? Perhaps. They don't really attach an NFT to a physical item. In fact, at the very end of the EAP, they say we specifically don't have any detection or physical attachment. So if you remove the tag, then they don't account for that. And also, physical items are being sold as NFTs. Houses are being sold as NFTs, right? We're piggybacking on other traditional ledgers to handle that process. We don't need an NFC to make that connection.
Okay, so if I understand, the FUD is what you said. You're not fudding, but it's a little bit of FUD. First of all, I'm always down for FUD that says I was reading the embedded C code. You know, it's a little bit better when someone's like, I was in the Twitter Spaces and Shillen said no. So is that they said we need some custom hardware, and the hardware that they're saying doesn't exist right now. Not that it doesn't exist, but the things to make it work aren't necessarily invented yet. They could invent them. Maybe we can. We're engineers, very smart. We're hoping, but they don't. Okay.
This gentleman in the front row is right. The security that they talked about is not very good security. I mean, the thing is with a basic penetration tool, you're able to pull off essentially the unique manufacturing IDs and whatever they store on there. Because NFC's purpose was not to be secure. It's made to transmit a small piece of data. It's like 128 bits of data at max, and so you can't secure that. And there are ways that you can do it with some type of application, but what they built wasn't infrastructure. What they built is a smart contract. And if there is no infrastructure to utilize that smart contract, then it's essentially, well, I don't want to say worthless, but it's not usable, and it's not usable
Yet.
Yes,
You can say worthless.
it's not usable in its current form. And in terms of them being the first to do something, they are, because they did create a smart contract that has this signature that is uniquely triggered by scanning an NFC chip, and it completely happens on chain. But that's very, from a security standpoint, and then also an efficiency standpoint, the fact that these signatures, and there'll be gas fees that are accrued with that happen, it's going to be a major challenge in terms of scalability.
Another thing about this is, at least from the C code that they published, the device needs gas. The device was working directly with the chain. So it's like, okay, your skateboard now, you've given gas to your skateboard in order to move it around.
Correct.
That's not a good design. It really is, it's creating problems to build a dependence on a piece of hardware. A good cryptographer, a good engineer, a good engineer avoids problems. So why are you using cryptography to create a new problem and a dependence on a piece of hardware?
I would rather have them propose standards that aren't thought through, that are insecure, that are vaporware, and a bunch of smart tech people go, this can't be done. You'd have to do this and that and that and that, and maybe it could work this way, and maybe we could build and then they maybe think of something cool because Azuki said something not possible, versus them doing a pixel vault and saying, and guys, we have more tokens to be dropped that you guys can buy.
I feel like we need to zoom out for a second and take a look at this whole thing, right? Because it's the same thing we've seen time and time again. None of this matters. Like, they don't have the I feel like they can't build it. They don't have the tech for it. They don't have the security for it. But the holders don't care, because all the holders want is they want to see, hey, we're moving in a cool direction. My bags are going to go up. Azuki doesn't care, because they're saying, how do I get the VC money? And the VC money doesn't care, because the VC monies are saying, hey, the bags are going up. Like, actually doing any of this is like this weird catch-22 where doing it actually doesn't matter to anybody because it's all this hype-driven nonsense. Yeah, all this will never work.
Well, according to a space yesterday with Beanie, Pixel Vault was worth $1 billion, and all they did was promise a comic and release JPEGs of 7 planets. So, like, I'm just saying, like, you don't need to do a lot to be worth a lot, and Azuki's doing great.
Well, that's but that is exactly what everyone is trying to do in the space. People are being disingenuous about building things just to pump up their valuations and to get a bunch of NFT degenerates to gamble on them. And as soon as an NFT degenerate gambles on a project, guess what? Horse blinders come on. It is all wag me and block out every single negative thing, and you get the Twitter echo chamber and it ends poorly. It ends poorly every time.
Patrick and community, talk about predatory. I mean, it's just, what would you do in that spot if you were in this project?
I would just not buy it, and if I had it, I would sell it. That is actually financial advice.
No one's ever thought of this before. It's brand new.